What's up everybody, it's Johnbonne here, hope you're all having a pleasant day, I know I am. I apologise if you can hear my computer humming in the background. I'm rendering a video that's got to go up right now, so when this one's done, that one should, actually then again, I don't know, yeah, it's got an hour and 10 minutes left, so it'll be done way after this one's done, but I'll be uploading this video throughout the week, I think. So I'm going to put that video up when it's ready. I'll put this one up later on in the week. Anyway, enough rambling. I've only got 2 bars of battery out of 3 left, so I better stop arsing about. So, just like my shirt. Anyway, right. I want to talk about Crash Bandicoot today. I mean, I want to talk about Crash Bandicoot every day. You know, I want to knock on people's doors and say, hello, have you heard the good news about Crash Bandicoot? It's that big a game, for me. It's such an amazing game, and for good reason. And Crash Bandicoot has been teased over the past week. There's been 2 major things that have happened. Sony in the Middle East, on their Twitter account, have posted a picture of a wanted poster of Crash Bandicoot saying, "Wanted, where are you?" And then I think there was like a toy line had basically come out and said, "We're making Crash Bandicoot toys," although apparently that was fake. So yeah, both of these stories I heard on Gamenesia. Great website, by the way. I love to post that on a regular basis when it comes to comments. I don't actually post any articles. Still, so yeah, so they were talking about Crash Bandicoot, and when I saw that picture of Crash, I realised that I can't look forward to another Crash game. And there was one thing that killed that picture for me. Well, no, 2 things, I would say. The first was the tattoo, I think, on his left hand. If I find the picture, I'll try and put it in editing here. Yeah, it was a tattoo on his left hand. I think he got it from Crash of the Titans, which would allow him to control the beasts by putting his hand on them and then beating up other beasts and then climbing onto those and then putting his hand on them and controlling them. It was quite a cool idea, but I don't think it really worked for Crash Bandicoot, in my honest opinion. Although no one would have fucking played it had it been for Crash. So, yeah. Yeah, I sort of saw that and I thought, do we really have to have that reminder that those games exist? And I wasn't a fan of that. So, and it made me sort of think, what kind of Crash Bandicoot game could we have in the future? Could we have another game like Crash Twinsanity? I think that's the most likely option, although most PS2 platformers were Crash Twinsanity or Crash Wrath of Cortex, because that's what they were trying to be. That was the #1 game to model yourself over, because it was too much work to make a game like Super Mario 64, and I think really sort of Nintendo cornered the market there, although Castlevania, it didn't stop Castlevania from trying, you know? Sorry, I just got to move my phone for a second. It was distracting me. Yeah, so I don't really think they could sort of do that, so they sort of made Crash Bandicoot, everyone tried to make Crash Bandicoot 3 with their own mascots and whatnot. And I sort of think even Sony themselves, or at least Traveller's Tales, tried to outdo themselves with Wrath of Cortex, and look how well that went. And I've got to ask now, about 20 years later, how do you top Crash Bandicoot 2? How do you top Crash Bandicoot 3? As far as I'm aware, you can't, unless you did something like Rayman Origins, which I don't think it would really work with Crash Bandicoot. I mean, I know what people are going to say to this, but I don't think Rayman was really that good a video game character to begin with. Shots fired. So yeah, I just felt like plodded around too much. The precise platforming was very precise, and the controls were pretty stiff, and the jump. My God, that jump was so floaty that it made me miss so many platforms. It ruined my childhood. Anyway, so yeah, so I don't think you can really sort of have a game like Crash Bandicoot Origins when Crash is already fine as is. In fact, I would say if you're going to make a platform game, model yourself over Crash. When it comes to very basic platforming, at least. If you want to go into things like power-up territory and things like that, then I would recommend Mario and Sonic. Well, maybe not Sonic, but Rayman also is a good idea, in my opinion. So yeah, but like, how do you make it better? So the best I think we can hope for is like Crash Twinsanity 2.0, which I don't think would work, because it's already been done. I think that concept maybe only worked once, I don't know. Either that or a remaster, because we're so into remasturbation nowadays. That's a term I coined, by the way, okay? It's mine, you hear me? It's mine. I used it on Johnbonne's journal last year. So anyway, so well, I said that anyway. The remasturbation has kind of stopped. Essentially, what that is basically just where they're just wanking over remasters all the time. Like, everyone just wants to do that instead of making sequels, making original games and stuff like that. And I honestly believe that remasters are best kept to games that didn't get that full attention. So I think like games like Klonoa Daughter Phantom. Oh wait, they actually did that. Shit. Tombi is a game that deserves a remaster because it didn't have a publisher, it didn't have a distributor. So it sold very poorly, even though it was a critical success. Its fan base is still alive and kicking today. In fact, it's one of the most sought after games on the PlayStation, if you can believe such a thing. I mean, I own it and I'm really proud. I mean, it doesn't work all that well, which is fortunate, so I'm going to keep on scouring the world for copies, so I could get a decent copy that runs on my PS2 that's gathering dust and cack. So yeah, but seriously thinking about this for a moment, let's actually consider a Crash Bandicoot remaster. How would you actually improve the games? Because, I mean, they already look fine. Like, I was looking at this wanted poster for Crash, and essentially, I just didn't like the sort of, the textures on his fur. I mean, they were good, they were kind of like Donkey Kong's in, it's like Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, when they're sort of bringing that sort of realistic, those fur textures. Beautiful graphics for the time, by the way, absolutely gorgeous. So they're trying to sort of do that, and I don't think it really works on Crash, and he looks as cartoony as he is. I don't think it works on him all that well. And then you've got like the textures of his jeans, the chain that's sort of connected to his wallet or whatever. You sort of see the denim and the sort of stitching in his jeans, the detail on his sneakers, essentially. And I think that sort of takes away from the character and the cartooniness of him. And so, like, if you're actually having a look at the characters, speaking of other characters, how could you make Embryo look any better with, like 4K visuals, rather 1080p visuals now? How could you really sort of make him look any better? It would be horrifying to see him. Like, can you imagine the bags under his eyes just being all swollen and like his lips being so dry? It'd look horrible, the bolts in his head would be gangrenous around the sides, it'd be horrible, it'd be nightmarish. How do you make Cortex look any more demented in the first game? You can't, Now, fair enough, I can imagine sort of Tiny Tiger looking a bit better, with sort of details to his jaw, because basically it's just a block with his teeth painted and his gums painted on or whatever. But if they were to improve that, I could actually imagine that looking really well, and like his sort of loincloth looking a bit better, and maybe some more detail. I think those fur textures and physics would actually work better on Tiny Tiger than they would on Crash, and Dingo Dial would look really well. In fact, if they were to bring back Rillaroo, I think Rillaroo would suit those textures perfectly. But yeah, I don't really think you can make many other characters. Maybe Coco could look better, but I don't think Crash would. I think Crash would look the worst with these textures. Entropy would look quite good, in my opinion, with like this detailed clock that actually runs on real time. That'd be so cool. So the clock on his head or his chest adjusts to your time zone. That'd be friggin' awesome. So yeah, I don't think you really. Maybe the characters like Uka Uka and Aku Aku, I think they could maybe look better, but they already look fine with their smoke and particle effects and the sparkles and all this kind of thing. So I don't know. Could you really make Crash Bandicoot 1 look much better? I don't know. I mean, there weren't really sort of that many fine details in the first game, in my opinion. I think the one level that you could really sort of convince me that a remaster would work with, although it'd be the only level I could really sort of think of that would look really good with a revamp, would be Slippery Climb. Now, Slippery Climb is possibly the most infamous level in Crash Bandicoot history because of how difficult it is and how frustrating it is. In fact, you can watch my Let's Play of the game on my previous channel Johnbonne, and there you can find how pissed off I got because I stocked up like 40 lives and I lost them all because I reloaded a save. So I ended up with 4 lives and I had to do it in like 12 goes. Took me 12 goes to beat Slippery Climb, I think, or maybe more. It pissed me off that much, and you will see why it annoys me. It's the Rayman of Crash Bandicoot. So yeah, that was a thing. So yeah, can you imagine Slippery Climb being done in CryEngine? Now, if rain in England was anything like CryEngine, I'd be out there every day singing, singing in the rain for 3 hours straight, because it's so gorgeous. And like the way they do surfaces as well, especially rainy surfaces, is really good. So yeah, Slippery Climb with like the rain drizzling, and then you've got like Crash's fur rustling about in the rain and the wind blowing in different directions. You've got the vulture's wings rustling and flapping in the wind. You've got the surfaces getting drizzly and more wet. You might even see Crash slipping about a bit on idle animations. That'd be really cool. I could imagine that working in CryEngine. I think that'd be awesome. But any other levels, I don't think you could really do that. Like maybe Embryo's Tower you could do that with, but I think that's really about it. There aren't many other levels that really sort of warrant a remaster. I think they all look fine, or, you know, I don't think you could really sort of make it any better. Crash Bandicoot 2, I guess things like Turtle Woods you can make look a lot better. The snowy levels especially, like, because like you can do so much with the snow textures. You can have snow physics, you know, snowflakes. You can have ice look so much better than it already does. You can't really sort of improve the water levels all that much, because they're not the water levels, the sort of swamp levels where you're on the sort of hoverboard and Crash Bandicoot 2. You couldn't really make that much look better. You could maybe sort of make the sides of the levels, you know, the invisible walls with the forest and stuff like that. You could probably make that look a lot better. And maybe like the space levels with like Rocket and Pack Attack, but again, other levels, I don't know. Crash Bandicoot 3, you could probably improve the backgrounds a bit. You could probably increase the stuff going on in the underwater levels. You could do stuff with the flight stages. I honestly believe things like Tomb Time, you know, and Sphinxinator, those levels with the sand, you could probably do a lot more with that. Again, it's all particle effects though, and lighting effects. So yeah, improving the animations, I don't think you could really do much with Crash Bandicoot 3. Maybe the sort of levels where you're on a jet ski, that would work as well. And boss battles where you're, again, increasing the particle effects. So you couldn't really sort of do that much imaginative with it, but yeah, I think you could. It would sort of be okay, and I would pay that price, but I don't think I'd get a console over it, and I don't think it'd really improve the game all that much. What I would like to see if they do a remaster, though, is add additional challenges every week or every month where you can get additional gems, relics, crystals for more secret lobbies and stuff like that. That I would pay for. That's worth getting. And, you know, make them harder, because the games aren't really that hard, except if you're doing like really sort of harder level stuff in Crash Bandicoot 3 in the hidden lobby, which is not great. So, but yeah, some more challenging levels would be welcome as additional content, and perhaps even free content, and then it would definitely be worth the value for money. Otherwise, why not just allow people to pay for these games or play them on the PS4? You know, although I suppose we can't do that forever, because as the technology goes on, it becomes impossible to do that. Like, we can't, soon there will be a point where we can't emulate these games, not because of DRM or anything like that, but because the technology is simply too old. I read an article on this like a year back, and it was sort of saying that. Although, you know, one article, you know, don't believe everything you read, but still, it is kind of worrying, and it might be a possibility. So I don't know. So that's my thoughts on the Crash Bandicoot remaster and other ideas. I'm looking at my camera now and I can see that I ain't got much time left to record. So yeah, I don't know if it could work. New engines could probably do some things, but I don't know. And like visual remasters, I don't think the visuals really need that much of an update. And the music, certainly not. Do not touch the music. It's fine as it is, unless you have a metal remix for every single level. And you can alternate it between it, like in Halo Collector's Edition, you know, Halo Master Chief Collection, where you can sort of switch between the visuals, old and new. You can have the original music and the metal remix. So yeah, a metal only, okay? I'm Johnbonne, I'll see you later. Ta-ta for now.